Welcome to Live with CAFA. I'm Carla Wood, business strategist, speaker, founder of All Strategy. And I am so excited to be here with you today. I am going to be answering your questions on shifting your business strategy in the midst of these unprecedented and uncertain times. So a little bit about me. As a speaker and strategist, I've had the privilege of speaking to business owners, business leaders right across Canada and the United States. Most of the clients I work with are highly successful small and medium-sized businesses. They work in retail and service industries, in manufacturing, in shipping, in legal, all over, all kinds of industries and businesses. I support them taking their big picture strategy and distilling that down into functional day-to-day solutions so that they make more money, keep more money, support their teams. I get to help with profitability and elevating their service and their product messaging. I get to support them on building up their staff, equipping, hiring, making sure that the organization systems and processes are working effectively. I love getting to do all of that. And yet, right now, in this time, most of my days are spent supporting these clients on how to pivot their business, how to take their 2020 plans and either throw them out the window or at least to remold them and start something different. So that's why I get to be here with you today, and I am just so thrilled. I'm so grateful to be invited and to have this platform to hopefully lend some support in a time that can feel very stressful, difficult, and uncertain. So let's get started. Thank you to those of you who sent questions in advance. I'm going to launch into our time together just answering some of those questions for you. I invite those of you who are watching live to type in your questions as well so that hopefully I can answer those. As we're chatting, I have a tendency to give a lot of big picture thoughts as well as some real specifics. My default as a strategist is to have very customized advice for people. So know that this is hard for me to give you some broad-based advice, and that some of it's going to apply to your business, some of it won't. But I hope that as we're sharing and connecting, what does happen is that even if the advice I'm sharing in the moment doesn't apply to your business and your situation, it sparks a thought or a question that you can ask, or it is information that you can pass on to someone else that you want to support. Because the reality is we are all in this pandemic. So there is no one who isn't experiencing difficulty and challenge in their business right now. Even in those industries that are thriving, they've got different issues. So they're just probably not on this call. So the first question that I have that I wanted to read was, I have no idea how to be strategic right now. What does that even mean? Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it is probably the question as to why I was invited here today. So thank you. I think to be able to answer this question, there's three parts to it. There's the today, right? So how am I strategic with my today? And then there are the midterm and long-term answers. So the first thing is, when you are in crisis, you are in fight or flight mode. And I have seen this in incredibly tangible ways where there are business leaders who are just motivated to just give her right now, and they are working on pure adrenaline in that fight mode. I've seen others just turn on the TV and watch news nonstop and feel like I can't function, right? They're in that flight mode. Neither is wrong. So I think the first thing to think about is assess your current situation. Where are you right now emotionally? Because as a leader, your emotions matter because they affect the whole business. So the first thing is take control of what you can control. If you take control of what you can control, it just gives you a little bit of your power back. You know, so what is that? You can control turning the TV off sometimes. I don't check the news anymore until after the workday. I just do that for my own mental health. I do it because in addition to running a company, I'm now a homeschooling mom, and I've got my hands full. But what we want to do is take a look and say, okay, what can I control? So I can control cutting expenses that I don't need for the business right now. I can control getting dressed. I can control checking in with my staff team and saying, how are you doing? I can control cleaning my files on the computer or in real time. I can control cleaning up my database. I can control who I reach out to and how I connect. So in the short term, reaching out to the database, the contacts that you have, just to check in. You know, the great news is whoever your client is, if it's a business or a person, a group of people, they're all made up of human beings who are all living with the insanity of this pandemic. And so you don't have to call and make sales calls. In fact, I would probably not suggest that be the first step you take out of panic in the short term. But you can just call and connect, or email and connect, or text and connect and say, how are you? I'm thinking of you. Most people have seniors in their lives, people who are at high risk in their lives, have kids at home in their lives, or have friends who have kids at home. They are far from people that they know. They live single and alone and are missing human contact and a hug. They are in, even those who worked from home before, now work from home with a whole bunch of other people there quite often, and they are feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Getting groceries feels stressful, all of those things. So just reaching out to human beings and having some contact with others, you can control that. You can control breathing, meditating, smiling. So just some of that mental health right now in the short term. Also, you've got bills to pay. So some of you know that you've got a ramp of about 3 months, 6 months, some of you longer. Some of you have 2 months, 30 days, 15 days. You're already in it. So where is your cash flow right now, and what needs to change so that you can get some of that help and support that you need? So looking at that, staring that hard, scary thing down, I think is really important. In the midterm, keeping your message alive and getting organized and being generous. Those would be the 3 things I would say. So your midterm strategy. So keep your messaging alive. So what's the messaging for your business and your brand? What are your values? How do you reflect those? What are the mediums that you use to get your message and your brand out there? Is it through social media? Is it through reaching out to your database? Is it phone calling? Is it media and writing? Whatever that looks like, continue your brand messaging. Just don't ignore the fact that this is happening. If you don't acknowledge it, there's a bit of a disconnect for people. Then get organized. This is an unprecedented time in every way, but one of the positive ways that it exists is that this is the only time in any of our careers, professions, businesses, lives, where we have a full reset, where you have more available capacity in your work hours to invest in your business as opposed to focusing on your clients. And so what are all of those things that you have wished you had time for? Is it cleaning up the database? Is it purging? Is it getting your office organized? Are you behind in taxes? Are you years behind in taxes? Take the time to clean it up, stare it down, clean up your house. Do you wish you had more time to design and create and ideate? Then use this time for that. And it's probably life-giving as well. So take some space to do those things. Are there inspirational sources that you have always wished that you had time to just absorb and lean into? Use the space for that. So that's the getting organized. And then be generous. You know, this is a time for people to come together, and it's strategic to be good to people. It really, really is. So be generous with your gifts and talents. Be generous in a way that you can afford to be. So being generous doesn't always mean dollars. Maybe it means some contra work, right? So contra being that I have this skill set, you have that skill set. I could use yours, you could use mine. Let's trade. Maybe it's just making yourself available to others in the industry to talk and brainstorm. Maybe it's to share thoughts, whatever that is, but look at how you can be generous. Maybe it is if you are still cash positive, maybe it's looking to see what not-for-profits you can be giving to or supporting, reaching out to other business owners and saying, how can I help you? Maybe it's collaborating with another business owner who is struggling right now, and the two of you together can struggle together and maybe make a little bit more financially and offer something that hasn't been offered previously. The long term, so how can you be strategic in the long term? This is tough when you're in the middle of a crisis, but I think that it is essential to breathe and get through that, the small stuff, but also get out of our heads for today, because today is just complicated and messy and hard. And it feels like it won't end, but it will. It will 100% change. This will not always be how it is for the business, for our world. And so start to anticipate what comes next. What's going to change permanently? Where are we going as a world? Where are we going as an industry? Where are we going as a culture? How does that change and shift our needs? Our perception of luxury, our perception of beauty, our perception of everyday, our perception of lifestyle. And then pair that with the values, strengths, abilities, passions that you have and that your business holds, and see how you can lean into the values of your business, the strengths of your business, the reputation of your business, the areas that you are passionate about, and how can you pivot so that you are better prepared for what is coming, right? So some of the things I think are coming is more local. I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity for local business. And I think our global will continue, but in a very different way. I think our supply chains are going to look very different for a significant amount of time. I think that we are going to be far more reliant on tech than we ever were. You know, it's a funny thing, professionally and also personally right now, we've been talking a lot about how our priorities of what we need to hold on to right now are standing. And so the first one for us is each other and shelter, right? So we need roofs over our heads for our families, for our businesses. We need each other. You need who you need, your family, your friends, your staff team, if you can still afford to keep them. And the next thing, of course, is, you know, food, sustenance. So eating, getting some kind of income, we need to be sustained. And the third is internet. We need internet access. So the technology is just has jumped up many notches in terms of priority. So what does that mean for your business? I know that in Live with CAFA, there's someone coming, I think next week or the week after, from Shopify who's going to be speaking about e-commerce. I would certainly recommend that you tune into that. Even if right now you are not an e-commerce based business, just to hear what's happening and where that's going, because what's happening today is that we are all getting used to talking and connecting and using technology. The people who refused to do it have to do it. And so now everybody is going to be more comfortable and more familiar with connecting in this capacity. So those are short, mid, and long term. Okay, I told you I've got lots of words. So the second thing, question, it's just me and my business. I get paid for what I do, but right now no one is paying. Yeah. In fact, the business I did have and I was counting on has even been canceled. Yeah. First, let me say I am sorry. It is a painful place to be, to feel like what you knew was going to be there is gone. It can feel like panic, and it is very scary. What I want to say to each one of you who are going through that is this is not on you. There is no shame or embarrassment that needs to come from being a business owner or a solopreneur who has lost their source of revenue. this is one of those times where you can tell people you need help, and it does not impact people's perception of you. So that is a really small silver lining, but what it also does is it means that you have a way out that you maybe wouldn't have had 6 months ago had everything suddenly dried up and you were still trying to save face for your business. So I think if all of a sudden all of the income is gone, you cannot work, you cannot make money, or you can make just enough money to not qualify for the support that you need or could get from the government, the first thing is breathe. Just take a deep breath and know that hard times are always followed by better times. They just are. So I don't have an answer for you on what is going to pull you out of it, but I do know that there are resources for you even when you have no cash, and so to start looking at those. The second thing is to assess. So breathe, then assess. What does this look like? What are my expenses? What are my savings? What are my what kind of revenue income can I get right now? The next is to ask for help. So who do I know who can help me financially right now? Who can help me with the next steps in the business? Keep the lights on. Keep my lights on at home. How can I ask for help? Who can partner with me to even just brainstorm about what I could do instead, right? Sometimes it's not about asking for money help. It's like, I am so panicked because I have no money that I need someone to talk to sort of talk me off this ledge and help me see straight, because I cannot think through right now what to do next. So that's the asking for help. The third piece would be, or the fourth piece is meet your basic needs. So what are the basic needs for you, your family, your business? Meet those first. Everything else is luxury now. Our definition of luxury shifts, and that's hopefully temporary. But you know, one of the amazing things about our human condition is that crisis usually breeds genius, and resilience can only be tested by experiencing challenge. So you have this opportunity right now, even though it feels awful, to practice, to experience resilience. So I say go for that. And thank you. Someone's just posted in here some government resources for businesses due to COVID-19, and there are lots of places to look for that online, including now in this thread, so that's great. Take a look at that. Also listen to last week's live, because there were two fabulous speakers right here sitting in my seat who were able to provide some really tangible content and recommendations. So the third thing is, the third question here, I see so many businesses advertising still. I just don't feel right about doing that right now. Should I be doing that? And what should, how should I be doing it? Okay. So yeah, it's an interesting season. I think it is okay to promote your business. It is also important that you reflect your own values and live those out. So what are the values of your business? Know what those are and make sure that you are aligned, because I can tell you that if you don't feel aligned with the decisions that you are making for your business, they are going to lack authenticity. People are going to feel quite uncomfortable with that when you do it, and it's going to have a negative effect on your reputation. But you can also continue to promote and do it in a different way. I have design clients who have just softened their branding, which is fabulous. They have tweaked some of the colors, so in their Instagram messaging right now, it just feels softer to better reflect what our culture and our community and our industry is feeling. I also think it's really important that in your marketing right now, your messaging, you acknowledge the situation. I mentioned that earlier. Acknowledge what's happening. I I think that there are some beautiful examples of that online, and showing compassion, but also moving forward, right? Reflects your brand. If you have a brand of positivity and possibility, then stick with that. Just don't be tone deaf as you do it. If you have an irreverent brand, then continue with that, but don't be tone deaf when you do it. And just be careful what you're watching other people say and do. One of the dangers always as business owners and business leaders is looking at what everyone else is doing and feeling like, oh, they're doing it better, they're doing more, they're more successful. What I can tell you is our brand image is our brand image. It is not our reality, right? We thank goodness for clothes and makeup and hair products, because my curly hair without hair product and my beautiful middle-aged face without any kind of makeup and my body without the right clothing, they are not their best selves. And so our marketing is meant to be the best selves of our business. They are not the raw truth, and they needn't be. So put on your best self for your business when you're promoting and marketing, and show compassion and care, and know that that's what other people are doing too. Don't measure your reality against their best self. It is not wise, it is not helpful, and it is not accurate. It will add stress to you, and when you add guilt on top of panic, you are usually paralyzed. And paralysis is not going to help your business. It's not going to help the industry. It's not going to help the economy. It's not going to help your mental health. So layering the guilt is not a good idea. Don't feel like you should be doing it better because they are, because they might not be. All right, I have employees and have been still trying to pay them, but I can't do it much longer. Yeah, I feel sick about it. Any suggestions? For those of you who have employees and staff, especially those of you in retail, it is a difficult time. It is hard to pay people when you can't give them work to do. And unfortunately, our compensation for all of us is an exchange, right? It's a barter system. So we do work, we provide a service, whether that's making something, shipping something, building something, saying something, and we receive compensation in return. And for so many right now, that barter is not possible. So I have clients who have made varying decisions around paying their employees. Some clients who can afford to do that are not taking a salary for themselves so that they can still pay their employees for the work that they can have them do. I have clients who don't have work for their employees, so they can't pay them. But what they can do is express care, provide them with resources, links, reach out and talk to them, send suggestions if they hear about other places where those skill sets can be used for them to be able to earn some funds. They can keep them posted on any plans for growth with the hope of being able to hire them back. So you can show care and compassion even if you can't pay them. And then I have other clients who are adjusting the hours for their employees and therefore also adjusting the compensation so that they can have them work some hours, but not all of their hours, to be able to have the funds last longer. But really, you need to look at your cash flow. You need to look at the realities for your business, and then you need to have the money to pay people. It's not going to help your employees to pay them instead of doing some of the other pieces that are going to keep the lights open, because if there's no business for them to come back to, I'm not sure you've really done them a favor. So look at the big picture, ask for help on assessing that if you need it. Sometimes, in fact, most of the time, it's hard to make big decisions myopically, right? When you're just looking at that one piece yourself. So ask for that. And then, innovate and ideate and see how you can shift their skill sets to reflect what you're doing differently for the business. If you can afford to keep them on to help have them help you build new processes, clean up, get organized. Fabulous. So going through there. So that's great. I see some other questions coming in, and these. How will people consume fashion post-COVID-19? I believe we need to be sustainable. Yeah, I believe we do as well. And I think that we are going to find out how we consume fashion. I can tell you some of my thoughts based on looking at the global economy and our global realities. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think people are going to be looking more local. I think that our overall cost of living is going to increase because in the fashion industry, as we all know, in so many industries, the affordability of our fashion, our fast fashion as well as our luxury fashion, is dependent on a global framework where we have lower pricing in employment, in manufacturing overseas, and that is going to be less possible, I think, because of the way the coronavirus is affecting people all over the world. In Canada, we have a healthcare system and homes and government supports that allow us to still get by. Unfortunately, a lot of the countries that we rely on for the products and offerings that we use to make the goods that we sell will not have those resources. So I think looking at term to, I've said this to several people, we're going to discover that when you make a t-shirt locally, it's not $2.50, it's $45 to make the t-shirt. And so at $45, we are going to have to sell those t-shirts at a higher price, and the consumers are going to have to know to buy them and pay a higher dollar, and that's the value. That's what it costs to make that good. And therefore, people are going to likely have fewer pieces when they cost more. They're going to adjust. I think in other ways, I think fashion is going to remain the same in that we all need to feel beautiful. We all need to have our own identities, and our fashion, our clothing, our jewelry, our makeup, our hair, our shoes are all such a big piece of our identity and the way we feel about ourselves. So I think it's actually going to be very important. I love that people are having black tie events and gorgeous dinner parties on Zoom because people just want to look good. And we also want to be comfy. There's nothing wrong with wearing comfy pants at the bottom and looking great on top. So maybe there's going to be a big push for comfy pants in the market. But looking good, feeling good is going to be huge. I think that making sure that people are treated well in fashion is going to be more of a live conversation, and that the world is being treated well from a sustainability standpoint are going to matter. So I think more transparency in the industry is coming. I mean, it was coming anyway, but I think we're going to get a big bump. Then also people are going to sort of flatten out and chill out over time, and you're going to have both worlds. But I think the two worlds are going to meet a little bit closer. Yeah, someone else, I'm not trying to get clients right now. Yeah, I totally get it. It's a really tough place to be trying to do that. And I see visiting my hair salon. Yeah, so someone's just talking about donating to their hair salons. Yeah, I think about, especially because I can't get it cut, my stylist Devin all the time, and so many of my friends in the salon world. It's a challenging time, so looking to see how you can help is huge. Lesser collections and not so much based on trends, but good pieces. Yeah, thanks, Arlene. I think that's going to be a piece of it too, right? It's just, I hope that what happens is we are all more intentional after this. I really hope that that is the case. One of the ways that I can be more intentional for all of you right now is to say that I know that this has maybe only affirmed some of what you're feeling, but maybe has not answered a lot of your questions. And that's because I don't know your circumstances. I wish I did. And I wish I had a crystal ball so that I could give you the long-term answers. But before I sign off, what I do want to say to each of you who are listening right now is that I am going to post on here after our time together a 2-hour block every day through April to make myself available for 20-minute virtual coffees. And those are available to you just to be able to take this business strategy conversation and have 20 minutes with myself as a business strategist, just to have a really candid chat about what your big concern is, your big question, and see if I can help spark that next step in your short term and maybe have you start shifting into thinking about that medium longer term strategy. So it'll just be a link to sign up. It'll be a conversation just like this. You are welcome to do it. It is not a sales pitch. It is authentically an offer of 20 minutes of my time to up to 4 of you in a day to say, hey, this is really hard and I could really use some guidance from a professional. And right now I think we all have to help each other, and I can't make you more beautiful, and I can't make you dinner, but what I can do is help build some confidence that is based out of tangible reality for how to move forward in the midst of this time. So I would like to extend that offer to you, and I really authentically hope you take me up on that. Before we go, so first of all, thank you so much for tuning in today to Live with CAFA. And on the next episode of Live with CAFA, which is on Thursday of this week, mental health and addiction counselor Susan Raphael will be hosting and taking your questions on managing stress and anxiety. So we should all tune in, and we should all tell our friends to tune in, and we should tell all of our employees and all of our colleagues that there is going to be a very practical, very meaningful source of support for us on Thursday, April 9th, to tune into. You can send your specific questions for Susan in advance so she can be prepared to answer the questions that you have to live@cafaawards.ca. Now remember, CAFA and awards both have A's, but in this email address, CAFA Awards is actually CAFA Awards, CAFAWARDS.ca. That's live@cafaawards.ca. Thank you so much for allowing me this space to share with you, and I hope that I get to connect with you through coffee. If I don't, then just know that I am thinking of the entire industry. I am wishing you the best. I am excited for the ideating and creating that I hope that you are taking time to do as creative, brilliant business owners, and using this challenging time to take the space that you normally don't have to think, to sketch, to plan, to listen to the music that inspires you, to Google Earth to the places that you want to travel for inspiration. Give yourself the space to breathe and to create so that you have the headspace to strategize and that you are a part of the economic solution for our country and our world as we step out of this. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.